Hello and welcome to Maximum Christina Aguilera, the first talking book about Christina. It was written and researched by Darren Brooks. Music is by Amanda Thompson and it's read by Nancy McLean. You can check out our full catalogue on our website at www.chromedreams.co.uk.
When I was younger, I found a love for the sound of music when I was like 5 years old. Julie Andrews started me my whole interest into singing. And from there, I guess I just started around at local block parties, singing at talent competitions, my school talent shows, and then I got my first, I guess you could say, big break whenever I was on Star Search at age 8.
In this business, it's often all about hype, record sales, performances, and a crazy schedule of travelling, and it can be very easy to get lost in all that. But for me, the greatest thing is being able to interact with fans and touch people's lives. This all-too-rare viewpoint within the world of show business is that of Christina Aguilera herself, reflecting upon her elevated position in the topography of modern pop music ahead of the release of her second album. Her words also go some way to acknowledging the incredible impact she has had upon her chosen profession in a relatively short space of time. At the end of 1999, an astonishing year for her, Christina helped usher in the new millennium with a high-profile live television performance in New York. With it, she fired a starting gun, signalling the beginning of a brand new age of manufactured pop acts, where true originality is at a premium. In the face of such competition, however, Christina has been able to utilise her formidable talent to forge her own unique musical identity, rendering music critics and commentators completely speechless with her natural stage charisma. But, of course, this New Yorker possesses something that underlines her individuality, something truly special which separates her from all of her contemporaries. And it is undoubtedly her biggest and most treasured asset, a singing voice of phenomenal power and grace. This voice has led many to crown Christina queen of her pop generation, and it has helped propel some of the most infectious pop songs around to the upper reaches of chart parades across the world. It is with her phenomenal stage presence, as well as her undoubted singing abilities, that she has persuaded some of the world's greatest songwriters and producers to work alongside her, providing her with material to deliver in her own original way. These distinctive qualities have also won her millions of fans across the globe, fans who've taken Christina Aguilera and her songs to their hearts. Christina Aguilera is no run-of-the-mill pop star. Lest we forget, the story behind the rise and rise of the singing starlet is far from ordinary. To some, her career trajectory is the stuff of dreams and cut straight from the pages of a comic book. To others, she is simply an inspiration. But many others regard her as the very personification of the American dream, a sobriquet that pays the ultimate tribute to her extraordinary gifts. Whatever position she may occupy in the hearts and minds of her fans, it cannot be denied that her speedy advance to the top has been nothing less than awe-inspiring. So, sit back, relax, and bask in the warm glow of the Christina Aguilera story.
The infamous Mickey Mouse Club. Of course, Britney Spears and I were on at the same time, along with Justin and JC, Carrie Russell from Felicity, and a few other people.
The world was presented with its newest superstar-to-be on the 18th of December 1980, when, in Staten Island, New York, Christina Maria Aguilera was born. Her arrival further enriched the large Aguilera clan, which would eventually provide Christina with 4 siblings in Casey, Rachel, Stephanie and Michael. New York did not remain home for long, however, as the Aguilera family was destined to lead a largely nomadic life from then on, one which would not only take them across the United States, but also around the world. Christina's father, Fausto Aguilera, commonly known as Jim and of Ecuadorian descent, had created for himself a successful career in the military. In true US Army style, his family would travel with him, and Christina would spend her early years living in various towns and cities, including Florida, Texas, New Jersey, and even Japan for a time. In addition to the transient existence heaped upon the family by their father's career, Christina's mother, Shelley Kearns, was a fine working musician trained in both violin and piano, and she also travelled extensively with the Youth Symphony Orchestra. When the family finally settled down, it was to be in Wexford, a suburb of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. But domestic life was destined not to last for the Aguileras. Sadly, the relationship between her parents was difficult, and when Christina was just 6 years old, her mother decided to leave her father, taking Christina with her. Shelley would bring up her young daughter alone, although the introduction of a stepfather in later years did assist in providing some sense of stability. Fortunately, such early upheavals only generated in Christina an increased sense of motivation to make the most of her talents, and from a young age this attitude was very much in evidence. Perhaps influenced by her mother's talent and passion for music, Christina began to exhibit her own artistic skills in the mid-80s, and it was only a matter of time before these were noticed, initially at the school talent show, which signalled her first public foray into the world of performing arts. From there on in, it was a gradual and steady progression into the labyrinthine world of popular entertainment. At the tender age of 8, and with her skills still slowly evolving, Christina made her singing debut on the high-rating television show Star Search, syndicated for national broadcast across the United States. Within a further 2 years, she had become a minor celebrity in her local neighbourhood, and her status was underlined by a wonderful opportunity received from her hometown football club, the Pittsburgh Steelers. At only 10 years of age, Christina was handed the prestigious honour of singing the American national anthem at the club's stadium in front of a warm and welcoming home crowd. Naturally encouraged by her early success, Christina's talent slowly became apparent to those able to make things happen for her. And, of course, her own passionate ambition, discernible even at this early stage, was driving her forward. Such commitment to her chosen profession would pay off almost immediately, providing her with yet another glittering opportunity, and this time one that would prove pivotal to her continuing career progress. In 1982, at the age of 12, Christina would join the popular children's TV show, The New Mickey Mouse Club. The show itself was noted for its factory-like production line of teen television and pop stars, and Christina's time with the programme was no exception. The show also launched the careers of several of her pop contemporaries, including 2 members of the boy band NSYNC, and, most notably, Christina's future chart rival Britney Spears. Indeed, during breaks in the show, Christina proved to be a mean ping-pong player, and she and Britney became famous for their self-contained competitions. Broadcast from Orlando in Florida, the New Mickey Mouse Club combined several visual features to create a popular mix of children's entertainment and music, each member of the club being known as a Mouseketeer. The role she undertook during her time with the show, as well as increasing her own personal profile, was an important building block for her burgeoning talent. The fact that it gave her the platform for regular public performance was crucial, and with the show's huge national TV audience, it was widely reported that talent spotters eagerly viewed the programme, searching for the next big thing. And it was obvious to fans of the show that Christina could easily fill that grand category. Such predictions soon being borne out, as within 2 short but productive years, her singing voice had flourished to an extent that a career in music was all but assured. So much so that she left the weekly Disney spectacle at the age of 14 to undertake the next phase in her quest to reach the pinnacle of pop superstardom. Not for the first time in her short life, the young Christina Aguilera was about to travel the globe. Only on this journey, there was a personal agenda to push, and it was all about pop music.
I got signed to RCA. Well, actually, simultaneously at the same week as I got the job for the Mulan Soundtrack. I had to FedEx this karaoke tape of me singing "I Want to Run to You," the Whitney Houston song, and the vocal range for that song is really tough. But it was overnight, and the next thing I know, they're flying me out to LA to audition on the spot, and I got the job. So it was really exciting, and of course the RCA signing.
She might have already spent 2 years in the public eye with the new Mickey Mouse Club, but the real march towards fame and fortune had only just begun for Christina. Her first stop on the musical roller coaster was to be a country with which she was already somewhat familiar, thanks to having spent some time there as a child: Japan. Her representatives had made plans for her Asian visit, and it was arranged for her to link up immediately with the established Japanese pop star Kizo Nakanishi to discuss possible joint projects. The meeting was a roaring success, and the pair even recorded a duet entitled "All I Wanna Do." The track had the makings of a chart hit and was therefore given the full weight of record industry marketing across Japan, with Christina making a promotional video to support the song and undertaking a short tour, appearing in selected venues across the country. With the media hype beginning to build around this young pop singer, it was only natural that her travel itinerary would expand, her growing reputation reaching many parts of the world before she'd even arrived. Her Japanese odyssey led to a trip to Romania, firstly stopping in the city of Brasov, followed by a tour around the country where her appearances were greeted with euphoria. Indeed, there was a near riot at the Golden Stag Festival in Transylvania, where she eclipsed the likes of Sheryl Crow and Diana Ross, confidently wading into the crowd during the performance of her 2-song set in front of 10,000 ecstatic music fans. Incredible though it seemed, the young New Yorker was still a mere 18 years of age when she finally returned to the United States. But the experience and wisdom she'd gained during her time in Asia and Europe belied her tender years. Indeed, in pop terms, she could be already regarded as a virtual veteran. Now back home in the early months of 1998, her biggest professional invitation yet was waiting patiently around the corner. And thanks to the extensive experience she had garnered in her time spent over the Atlantic, she was more than ready to meet the challenge head-on. The substantial performing opportunities, as well as some time in the recording studio, had helped hone an already powerful voice to include an impressive vocal range. Unsurprisingly, her talent was by no means going unnoticed, and the first organisation to leap onto an ever-increasing and interested bandwagon were Walt Disney, specifically by record executives compiling the soundtrack for the animated movie Mulan, and Christina was invited to audition for the record. Undeniably committed to making the very best of such a rare opportunity, Christina's manager set about finding the right audition track for her to record. This project did not take long, as Whitney Houston's "I Want to Run to You" was dropped into her lap, an ideal song for displaying the full range of her vocal breadth. The track was recorded on a humble home karaoke machine in Christina's own living room, and the final tape was mailed immediately to the bosses at Disney. The record executives believed they were hearing history in the making, when, upon first play of the amazing recording, Disney bosses knew instinctively that their search for the right voice to front their soundtrack had come to an abrupt and happy end. This young woman had the vocal strength they believed their project required, and within 48 hours, Christina found herself in the nearest airport and ushered on board a plane bound for Los Angeles. Within only a few hours of landing, she was deposited into a luxury recording studio to begin work on one of the movie's lead songs, Reflection. The final product, produced by Matthew Wilder, a former chart star in his own right, was so impressive that the song was ultimately released as a single to promote the movie in the summer of 1998. As was normal prior to a high-profile single release, a frenzied rush of promotion swiftly got underway, most notably a number of live television performances by Christina on such wide-reaching shows as This Morning on CBS and The Donnie and Marie Show. The eventual release of the film itself in June 1998 only served to send more flocks of people to the record counters to buy the song. All of this resulted in a smash hit single, the record crashing into the top 15 of the US Billboard charts. This sudden chart success and subsequent increase in public profile would prove to be a turning point in Christina's already flourishing career, as she would shortly receive an offer that would seal her reputation as one of America's most promising stars. No doubt recognising her immense talent and substantial marketing potential, RCA Records signed Christina Aguilera to a lucrative long-term recording contract. By now, there was a whirlwind surrounding the young Christina Aguilera, and she was very much in the eye of the storm. Daily newspapers, the music press, and of course the celebrity glossies were beginning to take an interest in this new kid on the block, who was clearly being groomed to rival her former Mickey Mouse Club colleague, Britney Spears. There was no question that, with all of this attention, Christina would have to mature rapidly or go under. Still only a teenager, of course, albeit unlike most of her peers, she now had behind her a successful childhood television career, lots of live international performing experience, and a hit movie soundtrack single. The pinnacle, however, was the mouth-watering prospect of an all-out assault on the music charts of the world, now that a recording deal was being signed and sealed. With all of these majestic achievements already under her belt, one might think Christina would have wanted to enjoy a well-deserved rest before embarking on the next phase of her career. But she was only just beginning. With Reflection providing her with a first big hit single, it was obvious she was on a roll, and the idea of a break was not even entertained. The musical world was ready, waiting, and salivating to hear more from this new pop idol. In fact, we were about to see what Christina Aguilera was really made of.
Well, this album was so rushed together. Like, we wanted to still get the hype from Mulan, and, we didn't want years to go by before, you know what I mean? Before, people would be like, that's the girl from years back whenever she did the Mulan soundtrack. So we sort of wanted to get my name put out there a little bit, And, but we got really great songs rushed together, so I really didn't need to write. But on the next album, I'm definitely going to write.
She may not yet have been out of her teenage years, but Christina Aguilera's star was shining brightly and was undoubtedly in the ascendant. RCA Records gratefully had her signature on a recording deal, and so keen were they to capitalise on their newest acquisition, they wasted no time in steering her into the recording studio to begin work on her first songs for their label. Meanwhile, her Disney single, Reflection, having already been a huge chart success around the world, was now recognised by the Golden Globes, the song being nominated for an award in the category for Best Original Song in a Motion Picture. More importantly, though, the exposure received by the song and its ultimate award brought her talents to the attention of an even wider, indeed global audience, including some of the most popular writers and producers working in the modern music industry. These industry moguls included the likes of Guy Roach, famous for his work with artists such as Cher and Brandy, and the songwriting duo Carl Sturken and Evan Rogers, whose success with chart-topping bands such as Boyzone and the Brand New Heavies had brought them wide acclaim. Further glory for all these guys was virtually guaranteed if they could produce the right songs for Christina, clearly one of the world's potentially biggest-selling singers to perform. Unsurprisingly, given their star-studded track records, they did just that. Christina's unbelievable voice was to be the focal point of her debut album, naturally, but the quality of the songs that would constitute the final track listing was stunning. Roach produced the track What a Girl Wants, the number hand-picked to be the single, while Sturken and Rogers provided a brace of tunes with the soul-influenced Love for All Seasons and the anthemic Love Will Find a Way. Other notable luminaries on the RCA payroll, including the likes of established chart-topping writer Travon Potts, wrote and produced Blessed, while Reflection also made a worthy appearance on the record. Already a smash hit, the inclusion of the track would no doubt bolster the selling power of her debut album. In keeping with a modern trend in pop music, the record also featured a number of soaring ballads, of which Christina was understandably and justifiably proud, especially as her voice was made for such songs. Reflection had already given the pop audience an early taste of what she could achieve with such a tune, and her debut album would provide further undeniable proof. The track Obvious, written by a virtual newcomer, Heather Holly, stands out. But the perfect example of lighter-in-the-air balladry is the spine-tingling I Turn to You, a song written especially for Christina by the globally celebrated songwriter Diane Warren, the mastermind behind many hits for the likes of Whitney Houston and Aerosmith. With someone as historically successful and respected as Warren on board the good ship Aguilera, commercial success for the record was virtually secure. Perhaps the centrepiece of the record, though, and certainly the song that would deliver the biggest worldwide smash hit, was the track Genie in a Bottle. Written by UK-based songsmith Pam Shane and produced by David Frank and Steve Kipner, the song was a wonderful example of a new kind of modern dance pop music. Here was a track that would further highlight Christina's already glowing pop credentials, while providing the perfect showcase for her stunning voice, which in turn transformed the song into something extra special. Once the album was finally in the can and ready for public consumption, it was apparent from early gossip emanating from within the gilded halls of the music industry that everybody connected to the recording was truly excited, not just by working with Christina herself, but also by what they had managed to create as a team in her debut album. The hype in the music press had been positive, and indeed had been building ever since her involvement with Mulan. In addition, music television and pop radio began to heavily rotate promotional tracks, and now only the general music-buying public was waiting to be fed. And wait they did, patiently, to find out if the voice behind Reflection could deliver a full-length record. And they were not to be disappointed. Put it this way, the music industry now had to be on the lookout once again for the next big thing, because the latest version was about to arrive with a bang.
Genie in a Bottle, the first single, was recorded in her home studio. A lot of other studios too.
With her first full-length album ready to be unleashed, Christina Aguilera's pop career was about to go supernova. The word on the street was that the standout track from her eagerly awaited debut album was the pop dance confection Genie in a Bottle. This view was also evident in her inner circle, and therefore it was no surprise that the song was chosen to be the disc's lead single. Released in the early months of what was to be her global breakthrough year of 1999, the song veritably rocketed to the top of the US Billboard singles charts, where it remained for 5 successive weeks. The song's success didn't start and end there, however, as it was a massive hit all around the world. Indeed, in the United Kingdom, import sales alone pushed it into the top 50 singles chart. By the time of its official release, it found itself at the top of radio station playlists everywhere and went straight to number 1. This pre-release success signified great things for the album itself, which was about to hit record stores. Given the simple yet appropriate title of Christina Aguilera, the record was greeted ecstatically by an eager record-buying public when it finally flooded the streets in August 1999 after months of intense media promotion. As predicted, the disc was an instant triumph, following the first single's path to the top spot, going to number 1 in the Billboard album chart within a month of going on sale. Subsequent success in the UK and Europe was also a mere formality. Lest we be in any doubt, the record sales figures spelled it out for everyone to see. Christina Aguilera had arrived. The celebrity press and television shows had a new darling, and the music industry was in raptures over the glitter-strewn unveiling of this new pop diva, her stunning impact upon the music profession overwhelming everyone. Her impact was not only confined to the music industry, as her presence was also felt in the outer reaches of celebrity and entertainment. She would inveigle her way into the heart of the American public consciousness, and her talent would be lavishly rewarded with a very special place in the country's popular culture. On a CBS television special, Christina was awarded with a striking label. She was named one of the most fascinating women of 1999, and she shared the stage with actress Jodie Foster and soul music veteran Aretha Franklin at this event. As the rest of her amazing year unfolded, the awards and accolades continued to roll in unabated and would seemingly never end. She was voted the year's Best New Artist at the American Latin Music Awards, an event held annually to celebrate the very best of music and entertainment from the Hispanic American community. Expectantly, many magazines, primarily music and celebrity publications, began to show a great interest in Christina Aguilera, both the person and the pop star, and her photogenic features were destined to spring from newsstands the world over. Her punishing work ethic allowed little respite, and her exhausting schedule of live television performances further cemented her reputation as an incredible performer. She would feature, and in some cases headline, on some of America's top-rated shows, such as the ever-popular Saturday Night Live and The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. As this astonishing 12 months in the public eye drew to a close, there was simply no stopping Christina Aguilera, as offers of work outside of her own solo commitments came pouring in. They were not to be arbitrary offers either, as every invitation seemed to have a legend attached to it. A duet with blues guitar god B.B. King was, of course, far too good an opportunity to turn down, and this was followed by an equally illustrious appearance in the corridors of power in Washington. Christina was personally invited to perform at the White House, where she wowed everyone with her solo rendition of Irving Berlin's The Christmas Song, requested especially by President Clinton, and which was broadcast in the TV special Christmas at the White House. Indeed, so impressed was the president by this rising star's performance, he was moved to personally request her presence a second time to perform the opening song on another presidential TV show, a Millennium Special, again to be broadcast live from Washington. However, such was her popularity by then, and with her services in such high demand, that she had to turn down the offer, as she was already committed to perform in New York's Times Square on a live New Year's Eve broadcast for MTV. Once her end-of-year performance commitments were discharged, one would have thought perhaps it was time for Christina Aguilera to take a break and reflect upon what had been a simply amazing year for any performer, let alone one still in her teenage years. But despite chart-topping singles and albums, presidential requests to perform live concerts, and finally a headlining performance in New York to greet the brand new millennium, the possibility of a holiday for a young pop star in the fast-paced media world was not entertained. For the year 2000 had now loomed large, and there were more singles to release and yet more shows to perform. Consequently, there was no time for Christina to take any kind of break or step back. 1999 had been a staggering year for Christina Aguilera. It was a year in which all the early promise and potential had combined to produce overwhelming success, providing the world with a new pop star to rival only the very best. But of course, it was important to keep up the momentum and to remain both in the public eye and in the charts. Believe it or not, the roller coaster ride was far from over.